this video, I'm going to show you and you're going to learn about 3 different types of lighting setups that you can use for your TikToks. Now you might know by now that having good lighting in your TikToks is extremely important. In fact, it's going to be one of the most important aspects about any TikTok that you make. For me, a good TikTok comes down to 3 things. 1, good visuals. 2, good sound. And 3, getting value out of the video that I'm watching. And I look for those 3 things in that specific order. And guess what? Lighting falls under that first category. Because if I can't see you, if your audience can't see you in your video, then what's the point of them watching? So that's why you need to make sure that you nail your lighting in every single one of your videos. And that's also why you're about to learn about 3 different lighting setups. Light setting number 1, the double light setup. Now this 2 lighting setup is what gives me this look right here. Without this lighting setup, it would look more like this. And the only reason that you can see me now is because I have these 2 accent lights behind me. If these accent lights weren't on, you'd just see a pitch black room and then all you would hear is a voice. And let's be honest, nobody's just gonna watch a video that is just a voice. It's basically a podcast at that point. So to get this 2 light set up, there's not much you need to do, but I'm just gonna show you how I have it set up anyway. Alright, now that I have the camera handheld, I'm able to turn it around and show you exactly how the lighting setup is. So I'm gonna turn this camera around real quick. Let's see, and as you can see here, I have one tiny light right there, and I have my main light right there. These 2 lights are what give me that 2 light look. And as you can see, they're both angled at pretty much 45 degrees about where my camera would be. And if you can see right there, that's where the tripod is. That is where the camera is set up. So I have one light there, so let me turn that on right now. And all I have to do is walk over and turn that light on, and you'll see exactly how I look once both of these lights are on. However, I'm gonna put the camera back on the tripod so you can see how it looks with just this one light setup. This is how things look with just the one light setup. Now, could I get away with having lighting like this? Yes. But for me, I have too many shadows on this side of my face. So to negate that, I have a light completely opposite of this first light so that when I turn that on, more shadows should be eliminated and I shouldn't have nearly as many shadows on my face. So let's see how it looks when I turn this light on. As you can see, the shadows on my face, there's still a little bit, but there's not nearly as much and you can see me that much better. And if you saw me in a TikTok just like this, you would be okay because the visuals are pretty good, at least when it comes to the lighting. Now you may be wondering why I have these 2 accent lights behind me. That is because it helps bring more light into the scene. Now these are lights that you do not need to have, but if you want to be able to light up your background a little more, just add a couple of accent lights and you'll just have that much more lighting to your scene. And if you want to see what this looks like without those 2 accent lights, give me a sec. Now this is what it looks like without those accent lights. Now as you can see, there's not nearly as much light in the scene. It's not really taking away from me at all. But for me, I like to have those accent lights on in the background. It just helps add a little bit more to the overall scene. Now again, the important thing in the TikTok is to make sure that you're illuminated because when you're filming yourself, you want your audience to see you. So those accent lights are things that definitely aren't needed, but can really help improve the looks of your video. So let me get these lights back on real quick. Now that I have all these lights back on, it's time to move on to the second lighting setup, and that is the 1 light, 1 window lighting setup. So let's get into that. And this is the 1 light, 1 window setup. And this is gonna be for somebody that just can't really afford to have a bunch of lighting equipment because let's be honest, camera equipment, lighting equipment, all of that is extremely expensive. And when you do buy it, you definitely need to look at it as some sort of investment because you're gonna be using it for a long time. So for this setup, I'm using a window that's to my right and a much cheaper light that's to my left. Now the reason I have this whole setup like this is because based on where I want my camera, I'm a little too far away from the window to get all the lighting that I want. So I need to have that set up with the other light to make sure that I don't have too many shadows on my face. Now as you can see, this lighting setup is just a little bit different than the previous lighting setup because there are a little bit more shadows on my face, but you can still see me very well. And again, you need to keep that in mind when you're filming your TikToks. Can your audience see you just as clear as you would like them to see you? Now if I turned off this light, you're gonna see that there's gonna be a little bit more shadows on this side of my face. Now I turned off that light, and if you can really tell, this side of my face is just much darker than I would like it to be. I almost got a two-face thing going on, light, dark. Now for me, this just isn't a setup that I feel like most of my audience would like to see on TikTok. And I feel like that most people watching TikToks, no matter what the niche is, wouldn't want to see this type of setup either. So that is why when we're a good distance away from our window and we're not facing the window and we can't get all of the light on us, we have to use a second light. So we're gonna turn that light back on and you can see what the setup looks like one more time. And there we have it. Now I know the difference in that shadow isn't much, but that little bit of light that is hitting my face on this side just helps add that much more to the video that you would see on a TikTok. Now we're gonna move on to our third lighting setup, and that lighting setup is gonna be the most cost effective, and it's gonna be one that anybody can actually use. And that lighting setup is the window setup. So let me move my camera and you'll see exactly what I mean. And here we are with the third and final lighting setup. I have the camera placed directly in front of a window, so as you can see, all of the light is hitting directly on my face. There are no shadows on my face, and you're not gonna be distracted by any of those shadows on my face. So this is going to be one of the best possible lighting setups that you can have for any TikTok that you make. Now the pros of this lighting setup, as you can tell, the light is hitting my face in a way that artificial light just can't. The light is much softer on me, and there's no shadows. The cons to this, you have to move your camera to where the window is. You have to adjust your environment to where the light is coming from. Whereas with the first lighting setup, with that 2 light setup, I can move the environment however I want and move the lights accordingly. However, with the window setup, the light is only gonna be coming from one direction, which is why with the second lighting setup, with the 1 light, 1 window, I had to have a second light based on where I was facing, where the window light was hitting me, and where that second light would eliminate as many shadows as possible. Now with this window lighting setup, 1, it's gonna be the cheapest because you don't need to pay for a window. And 2, it's a setup where all you have to do is put the camera in front of the window and you can go from there. You don't have to adjust any lights, you don't have to adjust the brightness of any lights, you don't have to adjust the hue of any of those lights. Everything is pretty much set up based on where you put that camera in relation to the window. Now let's get a quick review of the 3 lighting setups that we went over. Number 1 was a 2 light setup. With that setup, we had the camera in the middle, we had a light to the right, and a light to the left. Both of those lights are angled in a way where it's gonna eliminate as many shadows as possible on your face. And that way, your audience is gonna be able to see you much more clearly on your TikTok videos. Setup number 2 was a 1 light, 1 window setup. With that setup, you basically have the same exact thing as you do with the first setup, but with a window. Again, because let's be honest, lighting equipment is very expensive. So if you're able to afford 1 light, you might as well use it to your advantage. And lighting setup number 3, that is gonna be the window setup. Again, one of the only problems I have with this is that you have to adjust the environment to fit where the window light is coming from. But other than that, as you can tell from this setup right now, I'm using the window lighting. It's just a nice window setup. The lighting is always gonna be nice, especially when you're filming at any point in the day when the sun is out. So those are 3 different lighting setups that you can use for any of your TikTok videos. And always keep those in mind. You can utilize them however you want, and they can be used to film literally any type of TikTok video. So since we're at the end of the video, and if you're somebody that wants to learn more about TikTok, that wants to be able to grow more on TikTok, that wants to be able to do more cool things on TikTok, be sure to check me out on TikTok at DareToCapture, or you can check out my site, pocketvideoacademy.com. Both of those are gonna be linked in the description below. And yeah, if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you wanna help me out a little more, hit that like button, leave a comment. Anything you do with the video, it's gonna help me out, and I'm just gonna greatly appreciate it. But other than that, I don't have anything else for you. I'm Steven from DareToCapture. Catch you in the next one. Peace.